I'm registered dietitian Abby Sharp, and on my new podcast, Bite Back with Abby Sharp, I'll be dismantling the multi-billion-dollar diet industry that keeps us in a cycle of self-loathing and food fear. Join me every Tuesday for expert interviews, engaging conversations, and my signature science and sass to bust myths, correct misinformation, and help you break free from diet culture for good. Listen for free on the Seeker app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Whoa, we're 10 seconds early.
Stop the show.
We don't work early.
Nope. How you doing, man? You good?
Yeah, don't talk to me yet.
Sorry.
All right, we officially get paid now. Another meeting of the Dirty 530 is now in session. How you doing, man?
That don't talk to me. That's some stank.
I want to talk to you till we get paid, bro.
You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Monday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby.
Yes, the Leafs did win on Friday.
Oh, we're just going to start off with that, eh? We're going to go right to the highlight of the day.
I don't really think this podcast needs an intro. I think we just start off with the beautiful poem that you wrote.
To be clear, maybe you're just jumping into the podcast. We made a bet on Leafs, your team, versus Red Wings, my team, on Friday. Loser had to write a poem and say really nice things about the other guy's team. And, as almost everybody expected, the Red Wings lost. So here you go.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
All right, well, last week we made a bet, and the Leafs beat the Red Wings on Friday, so now, Dalby, it's time to pay up. I want to hear my poem about the Leafs.
Do you know that sports is actually really stupid and gambling is a terrible idea and no one should do it? Just thought I'd put that out there, a little PSA for everybody.
Yeah, I think we had that commercial run on the radio like 10 minutes ago, actually.
Deal is a deal. I made the bet. I shook the hand. I said that I would write a poem. So here you go. Here's your stupid poem.
Let me set the mood a little bit first here. There we go.
All right. There once was a team from Toronto who never won.
No, that's not. No. We're not doing like the man from Nantucket kind of stuff.
No.
I wanted a nice poem about the Leafs.
Okay. Oh, blue and white, the colors fly from the town they call the Six. With a history so proud, in spite of the fact that their fans are all a bunch of...
Okay, let's hold up for a second. Let's stop here.
What?
The rules were
Yeah.
that if the Red Wings lost, you had to do a poem about the Leafs.
Right.
The poem had to be good.
I thought those were really good. You cut them off early.
Had to be good, and it had to be positive about the Leafs. Can't be any negativity in there, so let's...
Bill Barilko disappeared that summer. What?
It's just the tragically hip. That's not even a poem.
Some people call it poetry.
One more chance here.
Fine!
Let's hear this poem.
You have to listen to this one, okay? Don't cut me off early.
Okay.
There's always next year, a lifelong fan cries. Another chance to show his love for the team whose colors he flies.
Okay.
There's always next year, says a teary father to his child, and 82 more chances to share excitement going wild. There's always next year, the captain tells the team. They stand together for all the fans who share that common dream. There's always next year, even when they finally win the big one. Because for Leafs fans, the team means so much more than a trophy hunt. It's brotherhood, it's common bond, it's pride in blue and white, it's dynasty, it's DNA, it's fighting Habs fans on sight. It's a tapestry of legendary players and yes, even moments of grief. But there's always next year, maybe even this year, when you proudly wear your Leaf.
That's,
Is that good enough?
That was beautiful, man.
The Leafs suck. They haven't won since 67. Austin Matthews disappears in the playoffs. Everybody should be embarrassed by the team.
I just want you to know that even though you said all that, a round of applause for those beautiful words that you said about the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you know what? That just proves that even the biggest of Leafs haters, deep down somewhere, they've got the passion.
I need you to know one thing, and I mean this with all sincerity. It's the absolute truth. I wrote that while sitting on the toilet.
That's where I do some of my best work.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
With any professional sport, a big part of the marketing is making the athletes or the competitors feel like real people that fans like you and me can relate to. But F1 racing is kind of moving in the other direction, as they have started to impose and crack down on a ban against swearing by the drivers and the team crewmates.
How? I swear the most in my vehicle anyway.
Well, that's just it. That's what kind of caught my eye about this. I was like, if I probably had to narrow down the place I have sworn the most, it is behind the wheel.
100%. I mean, I learned all my best swear words from watching my parents drive.
That's you've told that story about how that's where you got your vocabulary from. But FIA president Ben Sulayem has said that, quote, the drivers are to stop swearing on the radios while we're on television and sounding like rappers.
Oof.
Yeah, that was kind of a little out of pocket, I think, to use that one.
I just feel like that's part of the trade. I mean, you talk to anyone who drives for a living. I mean, they call it trucker mouth for a reason.
Right? Oh, absolutely. Or swear like a sailor. Mm-hmm. Anybody who works out on ships.
These guys are driving like 200 kilometers an hour.
Right.
With people cutting them off and everything. You don't expect them to, what do you want them to be like? Oh, blimey.
Right. Imagine you're in an F1 car racing at top speed and someone comes up wheel to wheel. You get a wobble. You are almost in a certainly disastrous wreck.
Yeah.
Oh, bother.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Oh, dear. You're a little too close for comfort, mate.
No, and honestly, I guarantee you there's people that would pay a premium just to hear those radio calls.
Well, and that's the funny thing, is because at first when I saw this, I was like, I kind of get it. Because they're like, we're on television. They often include radio chatter.
But they censor it all out.
That's just it.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I understand working in broadcast that you can't just swear willy-nilly. You'll get taken off the air. But they employ a censor and use a delay, so none of the swearing is getting on the air. If anything, it makes these drivers feel more like people you'd find out on the roads here in town. Mm-hmm. Just the way they're cussing at everybody.
I just think there's certain professions that you are allowed to swear in. I think anything that you're allowed to drive in, I mean, any damn trade you can swear in.
100%. Imagine going to a job site full of trade workers and being like, all right, guys, listen up. While you're here, 2 things. Safety's most important. 2, no swearing. Let's do a great job.
It's the same with kitchens as well. Like, if you said you can't swear in a kitchen, we wouldn't have Gordon Ramsay. He wouldn't be famous if he couldn't swear.
That's 100%. Like, his cooking is good. His swearing is what took him to television. Mm-hmm. Him yelling at people is what made him famous. Even shows like The Bear. Part of the appeal of it is that tense in-kitchen aggressiveness.
The only way that you can get F1 drivers to stop swearing is to put a kid in the car with them. And that doesn't feel safe to me.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
A lot of people texting in about like working in the hospital, or we've got a few correctional officers texting in. I will say both of those jobs, I think it's ones where you swear, and you probably get swore at a lot even more.
Oh, I would imagine. I mean, you talk about like nurses and stuff like that. Like, I've known some nurses that couldn't swear like world champions. But I think part of it is because they can't swear at the patients. So it builds up throughout the day. And they're getting sworn at. Like, you've got to assume there are patients coming in like, where's my 3825ing medicine? Why isn't anybody helping me? People who are getting mad at wait times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you eventually you just got to turn it around and fire it out somewhere else.
What job do you think gets sworn at the most? Is it retail workers?
You know what? It probably is. But also, like, I'm really thinking about servers. Like, we always laugh about how much swearing goes on in the kitchen of a restaurant.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, like, people are awful to restaurant front of house workers with swearing about the food or the service or the prices.
I guess it's anyone that really works in customer service. I mean, you could say retail, servers in general, or even just people that work at like a call center.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Even the ones that aren't, like, because obviously there's some very scammy call centers out there, people that'll call you at like all hours of the night, and those ones maybe deserve to get sworn at. But even the more legit ones where like, you called in for help and they couldn't help you the way you wanted to, and now you're just lighting them up with cusses. It's just like, they probably don't deserve that.
IT support people for sure get the brunt of it.
Absolutely. Anybody that's in a role to help other people, it's that moment of like, when they can help you, oh my God, thank you so much. You've just absolutely saved my day. But at the first sign that like they can't fix your problem, oh, well, what good are you anyway?
It's like that, and then you could add referees into the mix specifically for kids sports.
Okay, but they deserve it. That's the
For like $14 an hour, just getting chewed out.
It's crazy. Go sit in an arena just on any given Saturday and listen to the players, the coaches, the parents, all the swearing going to that person in stripes. It's a wonder why anybody would ever do that job.
It's the only time that you can like really get away with swearing at a teenager, you know?
There are very
as long as they're not your own kid.
Very few opportunities, and that's definitely one.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
You know, some say English is the toughest language to learn.
It is a mess of a language.
I was reading this hockey article over the weekend that apparently, do you remember former number 1 overall pick Nail Yakupov at all?
Oh, yeah. You got drafted to the Oilers when I was working in Edmonton radio, and he was Connor McDavid before Connor McDavid.
And then he dropped off the face of the earth.
And then he
never
played
did
a
anything.
game, and it wasn't quite all he was cracked up to be.
Apparently, some people that are saying they worked for the Sarnia Sting when he was playing junior hockey there is that when he came from Russia, he couldn't speak a lick of English. So the trainer on the team just started showing him episodes of Trailer Park Boys to teach him the language.
That can't be the best way to learn our language.
And allegedly, that's how Nail Yakupov learned how to speak English, which is amazing.
I just imagine him trying to call over the training staff, just like, what do I, here, kitty, come, kitty.
Right. He's just using like weird things like getting 2 birds stoned at one. Or he's like walking around going, know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
He's just doing full J-Rock sound effects trying to talk to people.
That's a hilarious way to learn. I mean, also just the fact that like every other word that he's probably saying is an F or an S sharp. Right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I would imagine that at some point, if English is your second language was learned via the Trailer Park Boys, you cuss at an Olympic level.
Yeah.
There's no question.
He's going around calling raccoons rakins, jalapeno chips.
Well, that's just it. I mean, all the Ricky-isms that we laugh at and have laughed at for years and years and years now, to him might just be how he says things.
Yeah.
That's why it's dangerous to use something like that to teach someone the language. Someone needed to teach the characters in that show the language.
He's in the dressing room being like, I told us so.
Just got rocket appliances everywhere.
There's a part of me that really hopes that his favorite movie is Indianapolis Jones.
That would be fantastic. Do you also think that he went out and invested heavily in tearaway track pants?
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
It's time for Brock and Dalby's Draft.
Damn, this was a harder list to put together than I thought.
It's the fact that we can only take 3 for the draft, and today we're picking the greatest Trailer Park Boys quotes of all time, and I mean, it's a quote factory.
I don't even know if I really got what I wanted here, but I like my picks, but I just feel like I'm going to think of a million after this draft here.
That's just it. This is what I'm asking for the people listening at home. At the end of every draft, we always ask you guys text in with the ones that we missed and who you guys think won. Today, just be easy on us. We couldn't get to all of them.
There's too many. There's too many.
Too many.
With my, I did win rock, paper, scissors, so I get the first pick here.
Okay.
With my number 1 pick, I'm going to go with something that everybody who drinks has probably said once in their life.
Mr. Lee, is this you talking or the liquor? Randy. I am the liquor.
Everybody has said, I am the liquor at least once in their life.
100%. It's just one of those things. That's the thing about this show is that not only was it so funny to watch and perfectly played by the actors and the characters and everything like that, but it had lines that just made their way into your life that you would use on a regular basis. Like, I am almost certain you have heard me say my number 1 pick before.
Kind of person to say I told us so, but you know what? I told us so. a told-so.
That's just, at some point, I saw that episode, and I never said the phrase, I told you so, ever again.
Yeah.
It's a told-so.
Damn it, I had that one on my list, too. Coming in at number 2 for me, I gotta go with...
Bam! Peanut butter and jam! What the f*** are you doing, Phil?
Philadelphia Collins getting on a list is what this draft deserved.
Bam was such a huge part of grade 9 football for me for some reason. Like, after every play, everyone would do Bam! In the whole season, we were trying to get our coaches to do it, and finally we won, like, one big game, and they came on the bus, and they were like, Bam!
Amazing. You earned that, Bam, as a team. My number 2 pick, everyone has said this multiple times.
Oh, that's greasy. That's really
yeah.
That's greasy. Greasy.
The way Mike Smith as Bubbles could say the word greasy made it sound so greasy.
It was perfect. Coming in at number 3 for me, I couldn't get a proper clip without the swearing here, but it's got to be Corey Trevor Smokes Let's Go. If you smoke darts, or if you've ever smoked darts, you've said that to someone before.
You know what? And this is your pick, so I hate to give it more credit, but one of the variations that I used to use all the time was Smokes hairdo, let's go.
Yes.
When he would call him hairdo. I don't know what that means or where it's from, but I have used that countless times.
Give me some chips and smokes. All the variations of it. Corey Trevor Smokes Let's Go in at number 3.
At my number 3 pick, you know what? I got to go sort of like you did with Philadelphia Collins. I got to go off the board away from the main 3 boys to the guy in the chair. Got to go with Ray and his best quote in the whole show.
Had a couple of drinks, saw a couple of things.
Don't rat on nobody.
Damn, there's so many good Ray quotes, too, I didn't even think of.
And I thought about going down that Away She Goes, Way of the Road, Guy in the Chair, all that stuff. But just the absolute, like, I ain't saying nothing.
Had a couple of drinks, saw a couple of things.
That's how I live my life.
All right, running through the picks one more time. I got I Am the Liquor, number 1. I've got Bam in at number 2, and Corey Trevor Smokes Let's Go in at number 3.
I got a toe-to-so at number 1. That's greasy at number 2. And had a few drinks, seen a few things in at number 3.
I'm registered dietitian Abby Sharp, and on my new podcast, Bite Back with Abby Sharp, I'll be dismantling the multi-billion-dollar diet industry that keeps us in a cycle of self-loathing and food fear. Join me every Tuesday for expert interviews, engaging conversations, and my signature science and sass to bust myths, correct misinformation, and help you break free from diet culture for good. Listen for free on the Seeker app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Brock and Dalby podcast.
The Brock and Dalby podcast.
Read a story over the weekend that kind of blew my mind a little bit about a dude just south of the border in the United States in Watertown who allegedly faked his own death to run off to Europe.
Okay, I'm curious. How did he do it?
So I guess this dude, this Ryan Borgwart, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Honestly,
good baseball name.
A little bit. He decided that he was going to go out to Big Green Lake for a kayaking trip. He was going to go out there, and the family, he has got a wife, his kids, say goodbye to them. Hey, go have fun, Dad. We'll see you when you get home. And then he never came back home. They went out to look for him. They found his life jacket. They found his kayak. They found his vehicle, but they found no sign of Ryan. And everybody was like, oh, my God.
So he faked like he drowned or something.
Tragic. This father of 2, this husband, he was gone.
Yeah.
But then turns out he fled to Canada. And when he went across the border, they checked his name. So that came up. So when the investigators went to look for him, they saw oh, he was in Canada the day after he died. Again, allegedly. Then they started going through his computers and his online presence and his files and stuff. They found out he'd been talking to some woman from Uzbekistan. And then he took out a life insurance policy that his family didn't know about.
He took out one on himself?
On himself, where this new Uzbek woman is the beneficiary, and he was searching how to move money to foreign banks and all. This guy did all the work.
This guy did all this stuff stuff and didn't clear his internet history?
Well, that's apparently he did clear his browser history, but they were able to just further proof that everything you do is written down somewhere.
When I hear clear, it doesn't actually clear then?
I guess incognito mode isn't as incognito as you'd think.
Damn, dude.
So they don't know where he is, but they did do a big press conference being like, we no longer believe that Ryan is at the bottom of Big Green Lake. And Ryan, if you're listening, your family is worried about you, but we're calling off the search.
I don't know if they're more worried or probably pissed off at this point.
Well, at some point, you're right. Like that, like, oh my God, he's dead, to, oh my God, he might still be alive, to, if I ever see this man again, he's dead meat.
Yeah. It would have been a big hug from the entire family. It's going to be very passive-aggressive looks.
Dude, if he has to roll back through the airport in Watertown or whatever the nearest place with an airport is, that's not going to go well for him. But I was thinking, where would you go?
Oh, if I faked my own death?
Because, listen, what he did is a scumbag move. Leaving behind the wife and the kids.
Sure, yeah.
But, just disappearing one day and starting all over again,
Northern Quebec.
Northern Quebec?
Yeah, nobody goes up there. You know anyone that's ever I'm going up north in Quebec? No English-speaking person does that.
I mean, I know people who will go through northern Quebec to get to somewhere else, but to stay, yeah, that's fair.
You know, you go hiding up there, there's bush people up there. You can go, nobody's ever going to find you, and plus, if your English-speaking family's going up there, nobody's going to talk to them.
That's true.
That's the best place to go. You just go hide up there with the bush people and you start a whole new life.
But is that where, that's the thing, is you're right. I think that'd be a great place to never get caught, but is that where you want to live the rest of your life?
Yeah, and then I slowly transfer between Labrador and there and then go back and forth. I've got some family that would hide me out up there.
I was going to say, if you start going Labrador and coming back down around, you do run the risk of some old Lewis clan members being like, Oh, Brock, it's you. I thought you were dead.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, Newfoundlanders stick together. So between there, if you go up north enough, nobody's ever going to find you. Nobody's ever going to care to go up there.
Can I just say, you came up with that answer real quick.
I've thought about it.
I can tell.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Have you decided?
I think I would go to Japan. I feel like a lot of folks who look like me go to Japan for the technology, for the arts, for the culture, for that sort of thing. So I don't feel like I would stand out too much. I don't think people would be like, hey, this guy doesn't belong here.
You got it all wrong, though, on that one, because, if you go to a lot of, these Asian communities, they like big people.
True.
They like taking pictures with bigger folks for some reason.
I mean, I'm only 6'3". That's not
I'm not talking height-wise, more talking, width-wise.
Oh, you're calling me a sumo wrestler.
I don't know why. They have this weird fascination with, big white people. And
I mean, maybe that's how I make my money, right? I fake my death. I leave it all behind. I move to Japan. I start using my size to my advantage. I become a grandmaster in sumo.
But you're supposed to try and be under the radar, right? It's like those mafia guys that get caught because they make cooking videos online.
That's true.
Right?
Sharing Nona's old meatball recipe on YouTube.
I think the best thing that you could do if you're trying to fake your own death is you just got to be in international waters.
Oh, okay. You live on a boat?
Yeah, if you can find a boat to stay on in international waters, and I don't think it's for the rest of your days. I think you got to kill 5 years until the missus finally moves on, maybe gets another boyfriend or something.
You're out on a boat in international waters, but you're signing her up for a Tinder account, trying to get her some dates?
You don't have to do anything. You just lay low in international waters, maybe move to Somalia, become a pirate or something.
It feels like you could go from faking your own death to death pretty quick going down that route.
Yeah.
I like your international waters. I like the idea of basically just turning your life into a pleasure cruise for a few years, like you said, till the heat dies down.
And then you become the captain now.
I don't know about the piracy thing. I do like Justice's answer of just moving to Ireland and becoming a drunken farmer.
Yeah.
I like the isolation of it. Also, Ireland would be a good pick because while they don't necessarily speak the same language, there's some similarities. There's a good chunk of people that probably could understand if you needed to ask for something at a store, they would probably get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then Also, because you would be an English-speaking person, they would probably not pay too much mind to you of like, okay, you buy your stuff and go away.
Sure.
Anywhere where there's a bit of a language disconnect is probably going to help you to be able to hide.
Yeah.
It's either that or hiding in plain sight in like a massive city, like moving to a New York City where it's like, I'm not that far away from where I disappeared, but who's going to find me here?
I'm just another person trying to make it in the big city.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast. You know those BuzzFeed quizzes that are so much fun? Yeah, that's not what this is. It's the quiz with Brock and Dalby.
All right. It's time to get into the quiz here. And a lot of people always comment on your laugh, Dalby. So I was thinking that today's theme could be famous laughs from famous songs. So
Okay.
I will play you the clip of a laugh, and you have to tell me the song and the band as well.
I like this because at first I thought you were just going to do what you normally do on the quiz, where it's like, what is so-and-so's laughing song? And I was probably going to go 0 for 6. But at least hearing the clip, I think I've got a shot.
The clip helps for sure. Are you ready?
I think so.
All right, first one's an easy one.
Is that Feel Good Inc. by the Gorillaz?
Indeed
Okay.
it is.
Yeah.
Indeed it is.
Woo.
All right, 1 for 1 here. Let's see if you get this one.
That's Crazy Train.
I left in a little bit of instrumental there,
Well,
but that's a giveaway too.
Let's not pretend that that's the only reason I got it.
Oh, yeah, it's the quiz. But
Get out of here.
number 3.
That's Vincent Price and Thriller.
But who sings the song?
Oh, it's Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to dock you for that.
I should get a bonus point for knowing the person who makes the laugh.
All right, okay. Participation awards. Number 4 here. I even gave you the instrumental, a little smidge at the top.
Yeah,
there.
I was really focused. Play it one more time. I think it's Metallica.
Okay.
I'll
say it is Metallica.
Yeah, no, I figured that's the easy part. I'm guessing. Is it Sanitarium? No.
Master of Puppets.
Master of Puppets. There it is.
Ah, damn. All right, number 5 here.
Is that Roxanne by the Police?
That is Roxanne.
Play it again.
Did you never realize the laughs in there?
I don't think I've ever noticed that laugh before.
That's all you're going to notice. That it's right at like the beginning of the song for some reason.
Because right at that point, at this point in the song, all I'm getting ready to do is Roxanne.
All right, final one here.
Okay.
You ready?
Wipeout. God, you know what? I'll be fully honest. I don't know if I've ever known who sings that song. So I'll take the L. I'll take the X. Who does sing that song?
Greatest band name of all time, the Surfaris.
The Surfaris.
I honestly didn't know who. Nobody sings the song. Actually,
You know what? Fair enough.
Performs
Who
it. Right?
plays the song?
Yeah.
So I got a Metallica one wrong and the Surfaris. I'm okay with one of those.
Yeah.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I think today's word of the day should be remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a day to reflect, a day to think back. And honestly, we make a big deal about like the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month, and there will be ceremonies all over town and the schools. They'll be learning and taking that moment of silence and all that stuff. But like, if you got some spare time in the evening, especially if you've got kids, maybe if you've got relatives that fought in wars, that served in the military, it's a great time to sit down and pass on some of that knowledge, some of those stories to the next generation so that years from now, we're not forgetting why we're doing the whole Remembrance Day thing.
Absolutely, man. Like, if you've got family that fought for our country and they're willing to share their stories with you is the big thing. Take that in and don't take life for granted that we have here, being able to walk around, talk, have the freedoms that we do have. It's a privilege to live in this country, and it's thanks to all of our veterans and those who continue to fight that have given us all these freedoms. So.
Even up to yesterday, there are people in this city that are arguing over whether or not your Christmas lights should be up. The fact that that is one of the biggest discussions or debates that we're having shows that we have the freedoms that our ancestors fought for, and that's something that we should be proud of moving forward.
Your word of the day today, remember, in honor of Remembrance Day, and we hope you take some time today to remember and never forget, okay?
For more Brock and Dalby, tune in weekday mornings 5:30 to 9.
The Brock and Dalby podcast is brought to you by badshop.ca, the Brock and Dalby merch store, with all proceeds going to the Canadian Cancer Society.
I'm registered dietitian Abby Sharp, and on my new podcast, Bite Back with Abby Sharp, I'll be dismantling the multi-billion-dollar diet industry that keeps us in a cycle of self-loathing and food fear. Join me every Tuesday for expert interviews, engaging conversations, and my signature science and sass to bust myths, correct misinformation, and help you break free from diet culture for good. Listen for free on the Seeker app or wherever you get your podcasts.